Hey guys, welcome to the third episode. It's a hat trick. Well, not a good day for a City fan to mention hat tricks, but there we are. If anyone is curious, we're recording on Sunday, the 27th of September. Yes, City just lost to Leicester. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, the first two went well, minus the second one with some minor technical difficulties, but it's 2020. They're always going to happen. But I'm joined today with my second Australian of the series. Mr. Guest, if you'd like to introduce yourself, who are you and what do you do in the world of, what do you do for work and then what do you do in all the shirts?
Hi, my name's RiK. I currently run RiK FSC. I used to be Ricky81 on Twitter or Rick Sell Shirts on Instagram. Basically, I concentrate my interest and on authentics and player issue shirts, just understanding the innovation and technology within that and sharing and invoking conversation around that quality between the differences between fan versions and player authentic issue shirts. And also just looking at the interesting aspects of different fabric uses within both, even the fan and authentic shirts. So that's what I do, and I try and invoke that conversation in the social media platforms.
Perfect. And it's not an episode of Kit Room if I don't ask. What are you wearing?
Today I'm wearing the Ajax Amsterdam third from this season. It's the 50-year anniversary from their first European Championship win.
Okay, you do. Following your Instagram, you do have a soft spot for Ajax, I think. Or are they just your team?
They are my team. They were the first team I saw on TV back in 94, 95. So the first in Australia back in the 90s. It was very, very small and late. You wouldn't get football. It's kind of like a tertiary sport behind rugby league and Australian rules football in the winter. So one morning I was just flicking around on TV and I saw the UEFA Champions League final between Ajax and AC Milan, the one that they won in the blue and burgundy kind of Legoed Umbro kit. And from there on, I said that was going to be my team, and forever been buying Ajax kits and following them since then. So yeah, from the very beginning.
So you're a glory hunter then? No. If anyone is curious what I'm wearing the France 2016 banned shirt. It shouldn't have been banned. It was the best shirt at the tournament. It's the away one. And the reason I'm wearing it is because A, I think it's my only player issue shirt, but it's B, I bought it from yourself. So why not reunite it with you?
Yeah, it's one of the first player issue Nike shirts that I bought. I ended up getting it from like a boutique salesman in the US. And I think I missed the original boat in terms of the retailers, and it basically trying to find it. And this boutique retailer in the US it kind of like does a search and purchase for individuals. So I guess it's kind of like a bespoke service for each individual based on what I guess they're after. And I got that one, and the Spain 2016, the kind of like the triangular white and red, and it's got the red across the badge and yellow kind of triangular geometric pattern. And so there was an Adidas and a Nike, and they were basically the birth of my interest into play issue shirts. And as you can see from wearing it, like it's a complete night and day in terms of the quality and the detailing that gets put into the play issue shirts.
Yeah, so I remember when this one came out. This one was, I think 2016 was just a bit before I was collecting kits, but I remember seeing it and being like, I need that, I want that. And then, because it was still labelled, and it still is labelled as the kit of the tournament, despite it not being worn. So I didn't get a chance to get one. I know they were still available, but I can never find it properly in my size. My partner really liked it as well, so I managed to get her one in a replica version. But as you say, seeing the difference in it, like I struggle to get my head around it's like a tight round neck. The sleeves are tapered as well. I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly does, I guess, give you a better understanding of what the player's actually wearing. And then at the moment and in current, like you're seeing a lot more of the player issue shirts being available, like in second and aways and thirds now becoming available in Vaporknit or Heat Ready or even in the Kappa and Puma versions. They really have kind of embraced making that technology available. I know it's an expensive purchase compared to the fan versions, but you really do get an understanding of like the innovation that companies are going through to make it, I guess, a quality garment for the players on the pitch.
Actually, that has reminded me. I do have another player issue on. I think it's a 2016 away shirt, or maybe the third European shirt for Napoli. Obviously, it's a Kappa
Oh,
Combat.
it's a Kappa. Yeah, yeah. The Kappa Combat Pro. Yeah, I've actually got the Aston Villa one here from last year, and I've halfway written through like a blog piece that I'm going to start with in Kappa Combat Pro, and just investigating and researching the history behind the combat innovation and technology. It, just to realize where they came from and Kappa as a designer and whatnot, he went and used water sports as the initial, I guess, inspiration to make that kind of technology with the elastine, making it very fitted and having it move with you. That's why I guess it's so long and body hugging. So one of the first comments I make in my blog piece is that it will expose you if you have any kind of dad bod, and it is that body hugging. It doesn't feel like it compresses against you because of that elastine material, but it certainly does body hug. And yeah, it is definitely for the players. If you have a few beers on the weekend and it kind of shows, then it will expose you like anything else.
Yeah, I'm using my camera as my webcam because my laptop's really old, and I was tempted to use a tighter lens because I've just had a Chinese, and with this being a bit player issue,
Feeling a bit bloated.
yeah, so I'm kind of leaning back, so it hides it a little bit. But so you're going back to the combat stuff. I think are you a listener of Kiss It Out?
I have listened to a few of the podcasts before, but not that particular one. No.
It's worth knowing. I was going to say because I did do one on the Italy 2000 kit. I spoke to James Campbell Taylor, I think his name is, and he's got a blog post up on that kit as well, and just the tournament. So he was a very good person to speak to. But
Yeah.
no, I think he mentioned that there was some training wear which was in the combat range as well. Or jackets. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and listen actually. But yeah, it's he's a good person to pick his brains off because I think he lived in Italy at the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, nice guy as well. But your collection is a little different. So normally I'd ask how many shirts do you have, but you kind of not recycle your shirts, but it's kind of like a come and go, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. So every year I'll probably buy maybe 25 to 30 shirts. I think this year I'm already up to 30. But being COVID, everything's kind of pushed to the right. So by this stage, I probably would have already had my collection sorted, noting that thirds usually only get released about this time. And then you have international, but because I guess most of the internationals are already released for this cycle, I guess my collection is already done for this year. But yeah, normally I would 25 to 30 shirts, and I'm like, depending on what brands and designs that kind of pique my interest. I would definitely buy an Ajax. I would definitely buy. Usually, I get a PSG home or away, and then other kind of like designs that really pique my interest. But my main, I guess, focus is trying to understand the technologies, and so that's why this year I guess I had to buy a new Puma dry cell player version, which they changed technologies from EvoKnit. And yeah, I bought my first Kappa Combat Pro, and I had actually both the Aston Villa fan version and the Pro version side by side, and just wearing it and seeing how loose I guess the Gara fan version is compared to how long and body hugging, even a size up on the Combat Pro is basically just really it's enjoyable to wear. I actually really like this shirt. It's this one here.
Yeah.
I actually love it as like a home loungewear type shirt. It just kind of sits really nicely. It's really light, and the elastane kind of just makes it easy to wear. It doesn't compress against you like the old Puma ACTV player versions have, with like that little adhesive that was on the inside, and that really was unbearable to wear. I don't know how players actually got around in that. They probably have to have that base layer. But yeah, it was really interesting to see. One of the shirts I just recently got was the Holland or Netherlands home shirt in Vaponet, and just seeing the bespoke ventilation on that one that's incorporated into the design with the lion of the crest is something to behold, really, because having what I guess their standard vapor structure is on the Vaponet shirts, and then you look at what they've done for Chelsea and now Netherlands, it really gives you ideas about what they can do in terms of innovation and technology, and utilizing that as part of their design.
It's I was thinking about Puma. The more I'm hearing you, I'm going through my collection and being like, oh, I got that. I'm thinking of more player issue shirts I've got. I've got one Puma player issue shirt, and it's the 2004 Cameroon One Piece.
Oh yes, I did see you wear that. When you showed up on Twitter. That's an interesting piece,
Yeah.
actually. I mean, just to I guess put it on. You said it was like zips on the shoulder. Is that right?
Yeah, so there's a zip on either shoulder. You climb in and then just somehow pull it over you and zip it up. But when you're talking about Puma and being uncomfortable and exposing a dad bod, then that is certainly one to do so.
Yeah, I don't think there's much room to move in a one piece. It's an interesting design feature to say the least. You wouldn't want to have to go to the toilet in a hurry.
No, there is so in the shorts there's like a cycling shorts as well. So it keeps the shorts
yeah.
on. And there's a Velcro fly on it. And it so for that was the first episode that I did for Kitted Out with that kit. And I contacted my uni and gave it to one of the fashion lecturers for a week. Because I think she had a career in sport, and she took a look at it, and I met up with her and filmed an interview with her, and just the synopsis of it, she hated it. She hated it. She hated Puma for doing it.
Why?
She didn't. It got to the point where like I can't have like calm her down because she was like, "It's not practical. I don't get why you do it." So I mean, in a way, it's a statement.
Yeah, I mean, from a fashion designer sense, and doing that would be like, thought invoking, but yeah, it would be frustrating, I guess. You'd be like, well, why would you create a one piece suit for a sporting team or a sport? But I mean, one piece has done a lot for a lot of other sports. But I guess for football, it's probably very difficult, especially if you were kind of a person that wore a shirt out and not a shirt in, and didn't like that kind of, pushed in effect on what you're wearing. So yeah, that's
Well,
talking about fashion designers. There was a podcast just recently released by Cult Kits. It was the guy who designed the Nike kits for 2002 Japan Korea World Cup, and how they moved away, I guess, from designing as in a visual aspect, and went to Japan and Korea like 12 months in advance, understood the environmental factors that the players would be dealing with, and used technology and innovation for fabrics as their main focus, and had that as big color, but also very light, loose weaving material. And I think that's where, you really started to see technology innovation as a focus point for player authentic wear. even after the combat wear from Kappa, to see how that kind of improved and the players' comfortability and wearing experience.
Yeah, the leap in terms of technology from your baggy shirts in the 90s to skin fighters height, like essentially overnight, really. It was quite confusing, really. And now, Kappa are known for being sprayed on. If you're going to buy a Kappa shirt, even with the replica versions, you need to get a size up because you're not going to fit in it otherwise.
Yeah, I saw Macron. Someone wore a Macron shirt, and I, without actually looking at the badge, I actually thought it was a Combat Pro that one of the Twitter people were wearing, but I had to check twice, and it was Macron. I was like, wow, that really does feel fitted. I wasn't sure if it was a fan version or it just kind of didn't go size up or anything like that, but it felt and it looked really fitted from my visual aspect anyway.
I think I'm just having to quickly Google what I do. Whenever I do these, I have my iPad up and I've got Google on one side
Yep.
and I've got the questions on the other because there's always some point in the chat where I'm like, I need to Google this. But Lazio, yes, they're with Macron, aren't they? Yes, they are.
Yes.
So when I got the Puma One Piece, was at the Class Football Shirts. What's it called now? It was the Fabric of Football event in London, and they had their first pop-up shop. And I went in and I bought a Macron Lazio shirt, and I'm in a medium. I got a medium. And I was staying in a flat which was just upstairs. It was a very fortunate Airbnb. So I quickly ran upstairs, went to put it on. It was like I bought an extra small. It was a player issue Macron. I was like, I can't have this. So I took it back and I swapped it for the One Piece because I thought the One Piece would be something more of a statement to own. But
It
yeah,
is a unique and piece in history, I guess, for football. Like, it's not one of those things that really would have been available retailer-wise for too long, even if it was even at all, because of how quickly it kind of came and gone. I think even the sleeveless ones
yeah.
probably were kind of like another unique piece in history. Same country, same brand, um, but. Yeah, just those kind of unique pieces really need to be, highlighted as just something in history that was kind of a little left of center, but also something that kind of really struck a chord with a lot of people in kid collecting.
And anything that annoys FIFA that much gets a big thumbs up from me. So
FIFA really do get a lot of kit collectors offside with their straight down the line design restrictions. I
yeah,
even saw UEFA making a couple of kits, I guess, as part of laziness from the brand perspective, because we like to see things followed through onto the back, but they need clarity on numbers and stuff. So that's why brands don't necessarily do it. But UEFA have made them at some point. Either if you've got a half and half, you have a box. If you have stripes, it follows through on the bottom under a box. Yeah, it's really interesting the way that it kind of conflicts with the way that the shirt is originally designed. I don't know why more designers don't kind of put that as part of, okay, well, we need to design this for this purpose, and then all of a sudden you've got a secondary kit of the same kit as you know with the France one
mm.
to meet the rules of UEFA, FIFA, whoever.
Well, I was going to say, I think the only thing that stopped this shirt being was this blue bit here. I think I can't fully remember the rules. I don't really understand them either. But I think if this blue bit here was red, then the shirt would have been fine. I think I'm not too sure. It's just something as like cut and dry as that, and it's quite frustrating. Um, so you get player issue versions and all that. So normally, for most collectors, if I asked them who their favorite manufacturer would be, it'd be something a bit more sentimental or something. But I have a slight feeling that your favorite manufacturer may be more where the technology side rather than a sentimental side.
Yeah, I at the moment Nike and Adidas probably my main procured shirts. mainly due to the fact that even with the secondary teams that don't get that player technology in Adidas, you find in their fan version, which they end up sending to a lot of the secondary tier clubs, including Ajax, that you'll get different fabric weavings, whether it be pre-dyed or it's a printed shirt or things like that. You'll get completely different fabric types, and that also really interests me. So I do collect a lot of Adidas shirts mainly for that reason, because it really piques my interest in terms of, okay, well, if this is a printed shirt, you would think that they're using this type of fabric, but then in the next season, they use like a pre-dyed panel from the previous season's fabric and put it on a printed shirt. So whether like technology has improved, or they've researched that fabric and it can be printed on, or you know, it has that fabric kind of changed a little bit? Has it gone lighter? I think in the era ready technology stage, there's a lot more whiting of fabrics being used in fan versions or secondary tier clubs than you'll get with, say, Nike, where the Nike fan versions or their player versions are pretty much straightforward. It's the same technologies. And this year, with a lot of the printed Nike fan versions, I think has been improved. But I have heard and I have seen for myself a lot of the pre-dyed, plain coloured ones, the quality has not always been that great. So it's an interesting aspect to see how the different fan versions also work as well in terms of the fabrics they use, the levels of quality that they use, quality control, and just, you know, where the product is made. Is there any differences between quality control between the numerous countries that actually made it?
Yeah, it's all over the place.
I think for me, like in terms of, like, I mean, player shirts, like I'll use this Dutch one for an example, and then I put a picture on from Twitter yesterday. Just looking at this bespoke ventilation work is, you know, on a technology aspect, that really inspires me to buy more and just see what Nike can do in the future with this kind of ventilation bespoke work. And I really think that this is a different way that shirts can be designed without actually printing on it, by giving it like quality detailing, but also giving the player the ventilation requirements that it needs as well. So it's innovation and design in one, whereas, you know, without using kind of like a graphic designer.
Yeah,
I
it
think that's
could
great.
just be the tip of the iceberg, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, that, and this is the first year that kind of bespoke ventilation has been utilized, because in previous years with VaporNet and Aeroswift, it's pretty much been standard. And you'll find with the, I guess, pre-dyed panels or pre-dyed fabrics, they are a lot softer than the printed ones, because of the way that, I guess, the print, the fabric on the printed one needs to be, I guess, a bit shinier or a bit tartar to, I guess, hold that paint and that print onto the fabric.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go a bit more into your collection then. So you said earlier you have 30 shirts from this year, kit year, we'll
Yeah.
call it. And talking with Alex from the Football Photog, another collector down in Australia, it's a bit more difficult to try and source shirts with some limitations. And I know
Indeed.
you've
Indeed.
had some help as of recent with from other collectors to source a couple shirts.
Yes. Yes. In the sneaker world, we used to call, or we still do, we call it a proxy, whereby if we're unable to get it due to geographical restrictions or it's unavailable for delivery into our country, we'll seek out friends who may be able to be in that region or have to be able to be delivered to that region, and we will send them the cash, and they'll purchase and ship to us. So in terms of the Nigeria one, on Nike Australia, only the fan version was available for the Inter Milan third, but it's still not released yet. Whereas over in Nike GB, the Vapor is available, and it's been available for a few days. People have been getting customization on those, which also isn't available in the Nike Australia website. So those kind of extra bits and pieces is handy for us, and having that assistance is also. I mean, I got the Kappa Robe de Kappa by proxy as well. So that, because Robe de Kappa doesn't send to Australia, so yeah, I was able to get a little bit of help with that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, some limitations then. I mean, at least the people in the community there are willing to help you get these shirts, as like, especially in the player issue versions as well. Because I don't think they make as many, do they?
No, I don't think so. I think the demand is still quite small in terms of the player versions as opposed to the fan versions. But I think with the prevalence of more and more shirts being available in terms of all three kits, or because it used to be predominantly just the home ones, and even then it's quite small range. Only a few teams, the real top tier teams, would actually have it available. But I'm seeing more and more now. Like it's really kind of allows for the community to experience it more. And I think by me sharing, I guess, the innovations and technologies on Twitter and Instagram, it invokes conversation about the fit and the technologies and how it's worn. And people actually get a little bit more understanding, and they might actually procure one or purchase one in the future. So it's definitely takes a bit of, I guess, convincing or conversation starting to get people away from purchasing fan versions. They might wait for a sale where a player version might cost the same as a retail version for them to take advantage of that. But once they get one, the conversation back to me normally is like, oh my God, the detailing on this, the how light it is. I mean, even yourself with that French shirt, you were just like, wow, this is an unbelievable top. I can't believe the quality on this. So yeah, and it really, the innovation of technology has really skyrocketed over the last couple of years. I mean, Adidas has changed their technology from Adazero, which is mainly like a ventilation panel on the back, to a complete different technology now. And the way that they've cut the shirts is completely different to how it was before. It's a lot looser than their fan versions. So yeah, a double whipping fabric really, it's super light, and it's really breathable. It's probably the most breathable like fabric without ventilation that I've worn anyway. But I mean, the technology's going, I can't wait to see what happens next, because they're really, really peaking at 2020 in terms of innovation technologies with shirts.
Yeah, and I think the match worn shirt, not match worn, sorry, the player issue shirts market is also growing, with class football shirts selling player issue and getting older seasons, as you say, and then sell them up for a discounted price than what they be. And I think that's made it a bit more accessible as well for other collectors and buyers.
Yeah, the accessibility is a major factor. And classic football shirts has got an extreme range of shirts from technologies gone by, and you really can start to I guess begin your journey in terms of looking at previous technologies. I've been lucky that there was a couple of other football collectors in Brisbane where I live that used to do shirt reviews, and he would get player versions and compare them with fake player versions of the shirts. And with my collection, I would like give him, because we were the same size, and he would actually just borrow it for the sake of the view and give it back. And some of the ones that he bought, he would go, have check this out. The Evo knit from Puma, especially, it was probably the most like a replication of a cotton t-shirt than anything I'd seen in previous history. Anyway, so like that was really good. But I've got this year's AC Milan Puma shirt here, and the dry cell technique is I'm not quite sure on it actually, because like it's got the laser cut holes on the I guess on the collarbone and then on the neckline, and that's something that Nike had used like on the side panels back in 2010 to 14 with their dry fit technology. There's nothing really new or innovative I feel from that technology. I mean, it's definitely a premium garment compared to the fan versions from Puma that I've recently had. But I mean, it is a nice shirt. I just don't know how breathable it is or innovative it is compared to, say, the Nike and the Adidas ones. It really does bear my mind as to how brands go apart with these things. But sometimes you go full circle before you go up.
Yeah, I had noticed that on the Napoli Kappa shirt I've got. There's some under the sleeve, under the arms, and there, as you say, where the Nike placement was. But I've noticed on the new City shirt, on either promotional pictures or while watching play in it, that across each shoulder panel that there is laser cut breathing holes in it. I hadn't seen that on a shirt in a while. So how these two companies, which are so close and neck with each other. I mean, not so much Puma, more Adidas, but how these two companies are so close to each other and then split off in different directions it's quite strange.
Yeah, it is. In terms of, I guess, how Nike have done this, like they've restructured the whole shirt from how they had like the sleeves that come from I guess the collar line all the way down, and then to make more, I guess, of a structured shirt whereby I guess the sleeve panels are at the shoulder line, so you've actually got like a raglan sleeve, but Adidas really went away from doing ventilation holes completely and just made an overall lighter, more breathable shirt by changing their wicking technique. And that just the innovation behind that really just shows which directions each company's going. So Nike's going in a more a ventilation and breathability aspect, but also thinking about design and their innovation, whereas Adidas have gone, okay, well, we just want, we don't need ventilation, but if we make the whole shirt more breathable, then, and I guess have a bit more room underneath, it lets, I guess, air cycle through and allows sweat to dry away. That's one of the things that I'd really like to go and do and research, would be to see how they come up with these techniques, and how, I guess, how design with innovation goes forward with their fabrics.
Well, yeah, what will shirts look like in the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Next thing you know, it like just basically be sprayed on.
Eventually, we get into that point. I think there's a Scandinavian team who do their kit releases like that, don't they? With a body paint and some attractive models. Um, are
I
there
think
any?
I've seen that in the past. Yes.
Yeah, I think they're still doing it. Actually, it's a bit questionable. But so with player issue shirts, they tend to be a bit more expensive. Normally, with so the last two people I spoke to are more traditional collectors. So there's not really a tradition of doing collections. But I ask them what their most expensive shirt is in terms of either value to them or how much they've paid for it. Because like some people pay stupid money. I myself have up to £200. I spoke to Ellis for the last episode, and he spent £500 on the Fiorentina Mario shirt. Um, what's the most that you've parted with, if you're comfortable saying that is?
Yeah. So this year I found the Club America third in a dry fit match shirt on World Soccer Shop, and I think it was like 160 US. So compare that to Australia, you're probably looking at about 200, which is really not that much comparatively. But it was the shipping from the US that really kind of added to it. So it was about 260, I think, all up. And when I got it, I actually had two pulls inside the
Oh
packet
no.
because it came from a different country. So like I bought it, it was an American store, and like when I got the postage details, it was coming from Sweden. So
Oh,
that kind of yeah, that was bizarre to say at least. But I checked the tag; it was an authentic shirt. But you, you look at it and you go, oh, okay, right. And the other thing was like the green on it was a little bit darker than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting it to be more towards like that Inter Milan away from last year. I
yeah.
think the marketing photos and the fabric and the lighting were two different completely things. But yeah, when I got it, and the dry fit match shirts are a little bit looser than the vapor knit ones. So because I got a large, it was basically nearly swimming on me, and it actually didn't last too long in my collection. I think I wore it maybe 3 or 4 times, and it just kind of went. No, I'm not enjoying it. So I just kind of moved it on. And it sold pretty quickly, actually, because I don't really sell to make money. I sell it at a relatively reasonable price, I think.
I can vouch for that.
And yeah, so it just moved on. So just one of those things. It was the same with, like I bought a Gamba Osaka shirt back in 2017, and I got UC Endo on the back, and I bought it from, I wouldn't say a reseller. He's kind of like a proxy reseller for Japanese shirts. His J-League shirts on Twitter. He's actually very good. He's got a massive collection of Japanese shirts. If you ever wanted to do him, he's an English bloke, but he lives in Japan and does some media stuff for Japanese football in English. And yeah, he sold me the shirt, and I think it ended up being around the 250, 260 mark in Australian dollars as well. So, but it's more so the difficulty getting it here to Australia. It's not so much the purchasing side of it. Yeah, in terms of, I nearly actually bought. I was so close to actually clicking buy on the Olympic Marseille away authentic, and I had it at Pro Direct pre-ordered, but for some reason they were like breaking the chain. I think the supply chain with COVID and Puma shirts weren't going too well. But at the time, I was on the club website, and it was like 220 Australian just for the shirt, but the shipping was 60 euros, which is like
God.
$100 in itself to get it to Australia. And I was like, no, I can't do this. This is that the like, I won't do that. So
Yeah, I was going to
also,
touch on the cost of shipping. I was going to say that I can imagine that either getting to this point where it's either the price of the shirt or just make it not a viable purchase, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. The shipping to Australia in some cases can be quite expensive, but like the thing is for me, like no club or shop is standard in terms of I guess the costs. So if I was to buy, say, from Fanatics or Kitbag, for example, because they're a big company, they have the ability to discount the shipping a little bit more. So and they also sell in Australian dollars, so you really get a proper understanding of how much it costs. I mean, $25 for DHL Express shipping, I think is a great deal. Otherwise, or if you can go through the post, I think it ends up being 10. Or if you spend, say, if I was to buy one Vapor or one Player Authentic shirt and a fan version, I qualify for free international shipping. So, you know, you can kind of sway your way around to doing that. There's also a couple of guys on Twitter that just pump out discount codes like you wouldn't believe. Kits Buyer is an absolute godsend for discount codes,
Yeah,
and that can obviously take some of the brunt away from the shipping costs. So that's one of the challenges, I guess, buying in Australia. We also do have some retailers here in Australia, but it's hard to support them as a, I guess, authentics buyer because you don't really see that in Australia at all, especially in the bricks and mortar stores. Nike AU basically use a European warehouse to ship their shirts from. So yeah, you get a great range, which is great, but you also, you know, probably waiting 2 to 3 weeks depending on pick, pack, and shipping from the Netherlands or Belgium, wherever it's coming from. So I guess that's the hard part of being a kit collector in Australia is that if you want to support local, you're really restricted to fan versions, and the range isn't that great. Like you might have a unique, like for myself, Ajax. I cannot buy an Ajax shirt Australia brand new. That is no chance. It's pretty much EPL clubs and top tier nations. So yeah, that's basically the problem with buying kits in Australia.
which is a strange thought because I thought Ajax would be a bit more up there because it's not like they're a small team by any sort. They're kind of like a historic club. But whether that's just because I'm a football fan within the European setup. Um, you mentioned there you ordering a South American shirt and it coming from Sweden. I do. That is something that I'd raise my eyebrow at. I did get the Kappa Combat 2000 range with Betis and Monaco that they did this year, last year. I got the Betis jacket, and it was being shipped from France, and I was really confused because okay, so Kappa, so it's an Italian brand for a Spanish football team being sent from France. What's going on here?
I guess like because I work in supply chain, sometimes wherever the stock's available, they'll just plug it from if it's like it might be a Kappa store in France or something, and they had one there, and they just went, okay, well, in any inventory system, that's where one's held, so you'll ship it from this store to that customer, which can be good and bad, I guess. You know, like
Oh,
in terms
yeah,
of like their main warehouse has no stock and they have the availability to pluck it from like a retail store of theirs, which happens quite a lot in Australia in terms of online shopping. You know, like some retail stores will have a lot of brick and mortar stores, and you can kind of just say, I want this one, but like there's no stock and such. But you'll once you get your shipping information, it'll be shipped from some random place on the other side of the country. But you know that like if that makes it available for the purchaser, then that's it's fine for me.
yeah. If it gets a quick like this shirt came from you, it only took 10 days. I was mind blown
Yeah, I
by that.
was amazed. I was amazed. That was so fast. Like, I had shipped a shirt from Brisbane to Melbourne, which is like literally 1,600 k's, and to get to yours on the other side of the world, like 3 weeks faster than Melbourne. It was due to their stage 4 lockdown that the state is currently having. But yeah, I was like flabbergasted. And I think I did a recent competition where I gave away the fan version of that Aston Villa shirt,
Yeah,
and that got to the UK quite quickly as well. So I think there's a bit more improvement in terms of the shipping for through the post. So that's good for me because it kind of gets it to the other end quickly, because I'm always worried about selling my shirts and selling them international and getting it to the other end. I mean, I had one shirt in the midst of the Italian lockdown. He bought it, I think, just before they locked down. And I think I sent it like the first week of March, and he got it in the last week of July. So yeah, it was just like, you just go, oh, I feel for this poor Blake. Am I prepared to give him back his money? But the post system says, oh, look, it's got to a certain point in Europe, but they can't enter Italy. There's like bags and bags and bags of post. And then when I got a notification to say that it actually had made Rome, I was like, I texted this guy and I said, look, mate, your shirt's coming. It's in Rome. You're not too far from there, so hopefully only a couple of days. And he sent me a photo of it. And, there was a massive weight off my shoulders. But that's, I guess that's the life of buying shirts internationally. It's part of, I guess, the expectation and anticipation of your shirt arriving, especially through the post, because you don't really know without a tracking number how far it is along the line.
It's an interesting thought. I've seen it on Twitter a few times where people they get in the shirt collecting world that the most of the thrill is from the finding and then the buying and the waiting of the shirt, and then when it arrives, they're like, "Oh, I've got it now. What's next?" So
It drives the next purchase, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does.
And then you're just like, okay, what's next? It really is a vicious, and that's very much my purchase cycle as well. Like I would say probably like an addictive personality, where like, oh, I'll get the shirt and I'm like, oh, sweet, the technology's great on this. And I would probably buy like 4 or 5 of like the Vaporknit ones, and they're not cheap. I can tell you now, like 170, 180 Australian dollars. We kind of get a little bit cheaper than the UK due to your VAT percentages against to our GST, depending on where we buy from. But like the anticipation of having that shirt arrive, putting it on for the first time, you're like, oh wow, this is an amazing shirt, and just being able to like show it off and just be like, yes, I've got this shirt. It's just brand new release, and like the vape in it. A lot of people really get intrigued by the vape in it, or like I buy shirts left to center that in current season and they've not seen it before. Like the Red Bull Leipzig third shirt I wore to the pub last week, and there was a Liverpool supporter who walked past me, stared at my shirt on his way to the bathroom, and then tapped me on the shoulder on the way back, and like spent the next 15 minutes talking shirt. Those feature designs really, I guess, attract eyes, but it also invokes conversation. And I learned a lot about some Liverpool stuff that I'd not heard of for a long time, and I do know some Liverpool fans, but this guy had like a historical range going back to like Division 1 days of Liverpool shirts, and those kind of fans that really just buy one club are really interesting to talk to, just because of that aspect. And they go, and they don't like some kids, even though they bought it, but they still wear it and things like that as well. I, with my Ajax kids, only recently started selling the ones, because I used to just I'd buy like a second, the home one every second year, and then I'd buy the away one every year. But now this year was the first time I bought the whole set, because they've got a home and away and a third for the first time in living memory that I can remember. But yeah, I ended up selling the old away ones because I just don't have enough room anymore. Like, you buy 35 kits a year, and I hang them up. And I've got like 2 kind of like plastic tubs where I've folded my shirts, and you've seen how I present my sold shirts to you. in the acid-free paper and what's not. Just because I'm losing space due to the fact that I've got like kids and whatnot, and they take up a lot more space than the space that I'm given in my wardrobe. So that's half of the other reason why I sell them off.
Yeah, so this is a good point of the conversation if you're speaking about selling off shirts, especially from clubs that you support. What's your favorite shirt that you own, either from this season or just that you have in your collection? If you can't think of one, you could take 3 or 5.
My favorite shirt would have been, and I sold it to Phil Delves actually.
Yeah, if you're listening.
And no, but he actually sold it quite quickly after. He's a brutal reseller when it comes to shirts that like there's a couple of shirts that I sold to him and he sold them on quite quickly. So whether that didn't pique his interest at the time and after he got them, or he just he was looking to buy other stuff, so he needed to sell stuff on. But it was the Uru Reds 2015 shirt. It's red and it's got just multiple diamonds expanding on the shirt, and that was, I guess, that was the first time I went to Japan, and I think it was the second time I actually bought a shirt that was outside of my club or my nation. The year before I went to, my mate had a wedding in Ireland, and I went to Paris and Amsterdam after that, and I bought my first PSG shirt with Zlatan on the back. That's another thing. I love Zlatan, so like anytime he's playing for a club, I'll try to get his shirt. And so ever since PSG, I got everyone since. So PSG, Man United, Galaxy, and now AC Milan. I'm trying to find one with an Ajax one with Zlatan on the back. That's probably the only shirt, the historical shirt, I will go find and buy. It's probably a hard one to find. And,
I was going to say, you maybe
I would definitely cherish that one and probably frame it.
Yeah, I was because one of my next questions was going to be, what is your Holy Grail shirt? And I think we've just found it.
Yeah, it definitely is like an Ajax Zlatan shirt. That would definitely be my Holy Grail. The other Holy Grail would be the shirt that UEFA Champions League winning shirt that I first saw them on TV. That 94-95 blue with the red badges all over the shirt in that kind of like sash type of pattern. It's hard to find in my size. I think classic football shirts had them in like a XL or a double XL, and in the 90s, an XL is probably a tent. So those two would definitely be my grails, and only shirts from historical recent past that I'd probably keep and cherish. Would I wear them? Probably once every now and then, but definitely those two.
Yeah, there are only 3 Ajax shirts I own. So I have the 1988 away one. I've just had it now. I've lost the year. I think it was 93 to 94 away one as well. Is that the green and blue stripe one with the lace neck?
Oh yes. The green with the yellow
sponsor.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I think it's the 96 home shirt. I believe the collar and the cuff and the sleeves are predominantly black with white stripes. It's a nice stripy shirt. I like it.
Yes. I know that one.
But no, Ajax have had a good set of kits.
It's interesting, yeah. Like ever since the Adidas days, very intriguing set of away kits, and then obviously their home ones are pretty straightforward. And they've never actually printed the design. So you'll know that the red with the red band in the middle with the white, it's always been like the bands have been stitched together. So you've always got like a pre-dyed panel of fabric, red, and then you've got same with this the 50th anniversary shirt where it's dark grey and it's got a black band in the middle, and the other side's grey as well. And it's just like the three pieces of fabric are stitched together and just made into a shirt that's not printed. So that's always, it's kind of stayed true with I guess my mind, when every time I buy an IX home shirt, how have they actually done the band? But it's always been stitched, overlocked in the back.
So my final question, which could cause some contention, especially with someone with my enjoyment of this series is I'm finding people with different collections and collecting for different reasons. So yours is an interesting player issue and the technology of kits. I spoke to Ellis Platten, was more of a just the 90s kits and jackets as well of what he likes, and then the football photographer. I think his collection, I don't want to say all over the place, but he did get a bit of everything, mainly newer ones as well. But what is your most controversial kit opinion?
The controversial kit opinion. I like kits a little bit of centre, but I'm also very harsh on kits. I guess my controversial kit opinion. It's definitely a hard one. That I hadn't actually thought about this question before you asked me, but I would say that anything outside of, I guess, the top three brands in terms of fabric material, even Kappa really, now that I bought it, they don't really spend money on innovating on their fabrics. You know, a lot of kits that I buy, like I bought some Hamel kits this year, and it's hard to gauge whether retailer they're the same, or being able to get a player match issue shirt for that brand. But I've been really disheartened with some of the brands that I bought in terms of the fabrics, and I won't put them up because they're not really worth it as far as my innovation and my research is involved. But in terms of design, kit collection, yeah, I don't really have too much controversial to say. But in terms of like technology innovation, look, if you're not in the big three brands, then it's a three-horse race. Kappa, Nike, and Adidas. And to be honest, when it comes to Umbro Brazil are miles ahead of Umbro England in terms of the innovation of their kits. I've heard a lot of things, but I've got this Gremio kit that I bought earlier this year in Authentics, and compared to Umbro kits that I bought from the UK, this like streets ahead, absolutely streets ahead in terms of quality. So that's probably my most controversial thing. Trying to keep a brand the same, but obviously it doesn't really ring true. Maybe the brand's licensed out. But yeah, Umbro Brazil, night and day compared to Umbro England in terms of the quality of the fabric of the kits.
Yeah, and even just the look and the design of them, Umbro Brazil is top there at the moment. Everything they're smashing out just seems to be amazing. But finally, if anyone would like to find you on the internet, and I can also promote that he has a fantastic Instagram shop with a lot of shirts on, which I've actually been quite tempted by. But this France shirt was the one that piqued my interest. And 10-day shipping from Australia, it's not bad at all. So where can people find you on the internet?
Yep. So I'm on Twitter and Instagram under at RiK FSC, and all the shirts that are for sale are only one owner shirts that I've bought from a retail store, and I've moved on. So